A husband joked that he was fired. Then his wife filed for a divorce. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Storyist. Today, I will tell you a story about a husband who joked that he was fired from his job. When his wife heard this, she filed for a divorce. Watch the video until the end to find out what happened next, and why it was a surprise to everyone. Practical jokes can be a fun way to liven up the day and add a little more bit of unexpected little humor into life. But taken too far, pranks can really backfire, and sometimes they come back to haunt the joker in unexpected ways. Our story today begins with a husband who loved to play pranks and practical jokes. In fact, you could say he was a lifelong prankster. As a young child, he found that he could easily play pranks on his parents. He would pretend to be hurt or in trouble, and then would laugh and laugh when his parents came running to help him. For whatever reason, he found it hilarious. Things stayed the same as he got older. When he started school, he realized he had a whole new world of people to play jokes on. His classmates and teachers. Sometimes his pranks would get him in trouble, but he didn't care. He thought that his pranks were funny, so he kept doing them. One time, he pretended to cut himself in the cafeteria. He laughed and laughed when the nurse figured out that the blood was only ketchup, but the nurse didn't think it was very funny. In high school, when he joined the football team, he pretended that he got knocked out the first time he took a tackle in practice. In music class, he switched his guitar strings with rubber bands, and in choir, he played a kazoo when he was supposed to be singing. When he got his driver's license, he pranked his family by pretending to wreck his car. One time, he pretended that he got arrested. Naturally, these sorts of practical jokes would upset his family. But they would always forgive him, no matter how mad they got. They warned him that someday, someone would get him back for all of these pranks. But he just laughed, and he kept on playing jokes on people. No one was safe from his pranks. One time, he told all of his friends that he had won the lottery and was moving away to a tropical island. They even threw him a going-away party. The next day, when he showed up for school, he acted like nothing had happened at all. Then he laughed and laughed when he saw his friends' confused faces. He would even play pranks on his girlfriend. He would pretend to forget about dates or take her to ridiculous places. One time, he had her get all dressed up for a fancy dinner, and then he took her to a fast food restaurant. He even set up an elaborate prank to make it look like he was cheating on her. His girlfriend didn't find that very funny, but she stayed with him anyway. Then they eventually got married, but the wedding wasn't free of pranks either. He pretended to lose the ring. He had the band play the wrong kind of music. He even had a fake wedding cake that he knocked over. Everyone was shocked, but he just laughed and brought out the real cake. He at least had enough sense not to ruin the real wedding cake. And the pranks would continue throughout his adult life. He would still play tricks on his friends, his family, and his new wife too. Little did he know that he was finally about to take things too far. One day, the man hatched a new plan. They had just bought a new car and had to make payments on it every month. So he decided that this would be the perfect time to pretend to lose his job. So the man went home, mustered up some fake tears, and lamented to his wife about how he had been fired at work. He told her all about how it hadn't been his fault, and how mean his boss had been, and how embarrassed he had been in front of his coworkers. All lies, of course. It was part of selling the prank. As he let out a fake sob, he said that they would probably lose the new car, and the house too, if he couldn't find a new job soon. Now, the man was expecting his wife to console him and tell him that everything would be all right, that they would figure something out. Then he would reveal that it was a prank and have a good laugh about it. But that's not what happened at all. Instead of rushing to comfort him, his wife grew angry. "I knew this would happen eventually," she said to him. "You're always playing pranks. I bet you got fired because of some joke you played at work. Well, I've had enough of your jokes. I'm leaving." And with that, she packed a few things into a small suitcase and drove off in the new car, leaving her stunned husband behind. He called her on her cell phone and tried to tell her it was all a prank, but she said she didn't care. She was through with him and his pranks. The next time he got a letter in the mail, his wife was filing for a divorce. The man was stunned. It was only supposed to be a joke, and now this joke was costing him everything. Despite all his pranks, he really did love his wife and was very sad at the thought of her leaving him. He tried to call her again and again, but she ignored his calls. He called his family and told them what happened. They tried to console him after all. He still had his friends, his job, and his house. But he didn't care. He wanted his wife back. And now he was going to lose her over a stupid prank. He swore that he'd never play a prank on anyone ever again. But it didn't matter. It was too late to save the marriage. A few days went by, and it was time for him to go and meet his wife at divorce court. He did his best not to cry as he put on his best suit and drove to the courthouse. His wife waited for him out front, on the stone steps leading into the building. Seeing her made him start to cry again. She looked so beautiful. He didn't want to lose her. But when he looked up, he saw that his wife wasn't sad like he was, or even angry at him. Instead, she was grinning. In fact, her smile widened and grew until she was laughing out loud. "You should see your face right now," she said, pointing at him with one hand and clutching her side with the other. Slowly, he began to realize what was happening. "So, this was all a joke?" he said, wiping tears from his eyes. "Yep," she said, "and boy, you fell for it." The man started to smile. She had gotten him pretty good. In fact, he thought he had to hand it to her. That was the best prank he had ever seen. He began to laugh out loud, and his wife came down the steps and gave him a big hug. "Now come on," she said. "Let's go get some fast food." If you like this story, don't forget to hit the button and subscribe. And make sure you turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next story.